The bride, who had graduated from a prestigious music college, looked down on me, a high school graduate. She compelled me to play the piano at my brother's wedding. I had never told her I could play the piano, so she was definitely messing with me. Furthermore, she whispered in my ear that she was betraying my brother Jack. To be honest, I have a real boyfriend besides Jack, she said. She smiled at me as I trembled in front of the piano, but I knew her smile would soon fade. My name is Elena Johnson, and I'm 32 years old. I'm unmarried and currently working as a staff member at a wedding hall. I have only one brother. Our parents divorced when I was in high school, and a few years later, our mother passed away in an accident. We haven't been in contact with our biological father for a long time, and he never supported us. Needless to say, I had a hard life. Instead of attending college, I went to work, and my brother and I helped each other make ends meet. Jack, my younger brother, is 3 years younger than me. He's sharp and intelligent. He was excused from university tuition under a special student program and completed 4 years of study. After that, he got a job at a well-known company and has been excelling at work. I was quite proud of Jack, who was getting married. According to my brother, the bride was the daughter of a company executive. She was beautiful, had a pleasant demeanor, and was family-oriented. She had graduated from a prestigious music institution and was already offering private piano lessons. She seemed flawless. One day during a holiday, a meeting was held between the two families. The bride and her parents, as well as me and my brother, were present. "Nice to meet you. My name is Grace Miller," she said. I had seen a picture of her before, but she was far more attractive and pleasant in person. Grace then asked me for some advice. "I heard that you work at a wedding hall. Is it possible for us to hold the wedding there?" "Of course, we'd be delighted to help you," I replied, happy to support my brother's big day. The parents were also happy and smiling, discussing the kind of person their daughter was. Alumna has been playing the piano since she was a little girl and has won many prizes in competitions, Grace's father boasted, listing her accomplishments. However, Grace's face tightened when her father mentioned a certain girl. My daughter would get decent results, but the same girl would always win first place. It was very frustrating. What was that girl's name? "Let's not talk about that," Grace interrupted, her expression darkening. She quickly changed the subject. An hour later, I had to leave the room because my work phone rang. As I was returning, I saw Grace coming back from the restroom. I spoke to her. "I appreciate everything you did for us today. It was a fantastic day." Grace's attitude changed abruptly. "Attending today's meeting is a high school graduate," she sneered, then hurriedly returned to the room, leaving me stunned. I couldn't understand what had just happened. I finished my work call and returned to my seat, still puzzled. Grace had returned to her former pleasant self. "Elena, would you like something to drink?" she asked kindly, handing me the drink list. I must have misheard her earlier. Not wanting to complicate matters, I didn't tell anyone about the incident, and the meeting came to a close. However, I quickly discovered that it was not a misunderstanding at all. After Grace and I began meeting alone to plan the wedding ceremony, she consistently looked down on me. "You don't resemble Jack, who is very attractive," she would remark, implying that I was unattractive. Grace's sarcasm was relentless, targeting my high school education and unmarried status. "If you have time to assist others in getting married, why don't you worry about yourself?" she'd say. "Thanks for the advice. Oh, but you're only a high school graduate, so you're not very bright. And you lack etiquette because you were raised by a single mother. I don't think you'll be able to find a partner." Grace often boasted about her piano skills, reminding me that she always won top prizes in competitions. "I'm not like you, who only finished high school and went to work." Grace's constant jabs wore on me, and I grew to dislike her, even though she was supposed to be my brother's wife. However, since Jack chose her and their relationship seemed solid, I decided to keep my feelings to myself and endure her behavior. Months passed, and the wedding day arrived. Grace's father, an executive, had many company employees in attendance. Given the high number of guests and their VIP status, I had cleared my schedule to ensure everything went smoothly. Despite being the groom's sister, I chose to work behind the scenes until shortly before the ceremony began. As the ceremony neared, I was in the dressing room touching up my makeup when Grace's two female friends entered. They were engrossed in conversation, so I quietly continued with my preparations. Suddenly, their conversation took an unexpected turn. "Hey, did you know Grace is dating another guy? I've heard he's from the nightclub. She said she's getting married today just to keep up appearances. If that's true, I feel sorry for the groom who has no idea." My mind went blank. I had to stop the wedding. But I couldn't cancel the ceremony without proof. The ceremony began, leaving me feeling bewildered. During the ceremony, Grace's friends, all music college graduates, entertained the guests with beautiful performances. Suddenly, Grace picked up the microphone and announced, "Now my sister-in-law will perform on the piano." All eyes turned to me. I panicked. Grace had never told me about this, and I had never mentioned that I could play the piano. This surprise was not part of the plan. Grace was supposed to play the piano later in the wedding, so the piano wasn't ready. Hearing Grace's words, the ceremony hall staff began frantically arranging the piano. While I was too surprised to move, Grace approached me at the family table and yanked my arm with all her strength. "Come this way," she commanded, dragging me towards the piano. "Hey, you didn't tell me anything about this," I murmured quietly, aware of the guests watching us. Grace started blurting out in a hushed voice, "When I look at you, I can't help but get angry, so all I want to do is annoy you." "Is that the only reason you're treating me like this?" I asked. "Yeah, that's right," she replied with a smirk. As Grace's true nature became more apparent to me, I realized how much I despised her. "The ceremony will be ruined if you refuse to perform here. What do you think will happen if I cry in front of my father? The marriage would be annulled, and Jack would be fired from his job. Do you really want your beloved brother to get fired? Honestly, I have another boyfriend. I only married Jack because my parents were too annoying," Grace confessed. Her words confirmed the rumors I overheard in the bathroom. As I pondered this, the piano was set up. "Let's see what you got," Grace challenged. I sat down on the piano bench, my body shivering and my breath heavy. "I'm wondering if it was too much to ask of someone who only graduated from high school like you. Perhaps you've never even touched a piano," Grace taunted, smiling triumphantly. The audience grew increasingly noisy, and a staff member I knew approached me concerned. "Are you feeling all right?" she asked. Grace, on the other hand, had a contented smile on her face. "Play the piano if you're Jack's sister," but it seems I was mistaken. "I'm sorry," she mocked. However, a single phrase from my brother changed everything. "Don't you know my sister?" he asked. "What?" Grace replied, startled. I broke the silence by playing "Dream of Love," a standard wedding song. The venue, which had been noisy, quieted with the sound of the piano. When I finished, I was greeted with thunderous applause. My colleagues, who hadn't expected me to play so well, were moved to tears. In contrast, Grace's face was bright red, and she was biting her lips. "How could you play so well when you were nervous and trembling earlier?" Grace asked, astonished. "I didn't tell you, but I studied at a music college overseas," I replied, announcing the university's name. Grace staggered backward, shocked. "That's the college I wanted to go to, but couldn't. How could someone like you from a single-mother family attend?" "I've been taking piano lessons since I was a little girl and had support from people around me. However, when my mother died, I had to drop out of music school to help my brother attend school," I explained. "The reason I never told you I could play the piano was to avoid ruining your reputation." It seemed my brother hadn't mentioned my piano experience to Grace. Determined to outdo me, she refused to acknowledge my past. "Hey, isn't that Elena Garcia?" one of Grace's friends suddenly asked, recognizing my face. "Oh, if that's the case, she's incredible. We can't even begin to compete," she added, recalling me from music college, where I was well known as a brilliant pianist. "Grace, Hearing the last name Garcia, asked with a bewildered expression, "Are you by any chance that Elena Garcia who won all the awards in the competitions?" "I don't know if I won all the awards, but it's true I won many of them." "Yes, that's right," I confirmed. I was the girl who always stood in front of Grace at every competition. Elena Garcia was my name before my parents divorced. The audience cheered, and someone handed me a microphone, asking if I wanted to comment on my performance. I saw my chance to take revenge on Grace and revealed what I knew. "Please listen, everyone. Grace is having an affair." Gasps filled the room, and Grace's parents looked stunned, their mouths agape. "No, that's not true. She's talking nonsense." Grace tried desperately to deny it. But I quickly connected my phone to the speaker and played a recording of what Grace had whispered in my ear earlier. "To be honest, I have another boyfriend. I only married him because my parents were too annoying." Knowing Grace's true nature, I have been ready with my phone's voice recorder to capture her words. Grace's face turned pale as her deception was laid bare. "You disgraceful brat," her father yelled, and all hell broke loose. "I'm sorry, Papa," Grace pleaded. "I'll never forgive you. You are no longer my daughter," her father declared. Jack also turned on Grace. "How dare you deceive me? I'm not marrying you." "Please reconsider," Grace begged, but my brother was furious. "Apologize to my sister too," he demanded, pushing her away. Grace, desperate and not knowing what to do, turned to me. "Please forgive me. Everyone will forgive me too." Even at this point, Grace seemed to think only of herself, offering no apology to me. "You've been insulting me for so long, and now you expect me to forgive you. You take far too many things for granted." Grace broke down, confessing, "How will I ever be able to live on my own if Papa and Jack abandon me?" She admitted that her lover was a spendthrift and that she couldn't survive on his money alone. "I don't care about your life. I'm not going to forgive you," I told her coldly. Finally, in a tight spot, Grace bowed her head to me. "I apologize for everything I've done. I'm sorry," she sobbed, her makeup smudged and her eyes dark. It was a pitiful sight, but I felt nothing for her. "You insulted me for graduating only from high school and trampled on my brother's heart. Never show your face in front of us again." Grace broke down in tears and was escorted out of the ceremony hall by her relatives. Her parents then apologized to the attendees, and the wedding was abruptly canceled. After the attendees left, my brother and I talked. "I'm really sorry if I made you feel bad because I fell for that woman," Jack said. "I'll be fine. Are you going to be okay?" I asked. "I need to sort out my feelings, but I'll get back on my feet soon," he assured me. I believed him and decided to support him as he healed. Later, my brother and Grace officially broke off their engagement. Jack received compensation, and Grace's parents cut her off and kicked her out of the house. Without her parents' support, Grace struggled to make ends meet. Her affair partner dumped her as soon as her financial support vanished. Jack, on the other hand, devoted himself to his work and was soon promoted, his efforts paying off. As for me, I have been asked to play the piano more frequently at wedding ceremonies, and my days are busy. I hope to bring joy to many people with my performances.